Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of football's most ruthless transfer window, where loyalty is a four-letter word and every player is a commodity. This summer has been a masterclass in modern football's moral flexibility. Forget a sport built on passion and community. It's now a savage, high-stakes game of poker where everyone is bluffing, and everyone is a potential villain. Today we're peeling back the curtain on two star-crossed Scandinavian strikers, one who wants out, and one who might be forced out, to show you that when it comes to transfers, greed is in the eye of the beholder. 1. The Isak saga. The greedy bastard who learned from the best. First, let's talk about Alexander Isak. The Newcastle fans had a little chant for him. One greedy bastard. Now I'm not saying they're wrong, but let's be honest. He didn't just invent this move. He's simply a graduate of the modern footballer's handbook to forcing a move. The playbook is classic. Don't go on the preseason tour. Stay home. Train with your old team. Drop a few well-placed hints to the media. The grand finale, let it be known you will no longer play for your current club. It's a performance art piece in passive-aggressive career management. The fans feel betrayed, of course. They're like, how could you do this to us? You were the chosen one. And Isak is probably just shrugging, thinking, yeah, I was beloved until a bigger, better contract came along. It's not personal. It's just business. Isak's transfer strategy is less of a move and more of a theatrical production. The preseason tour absence, that's the opening act. The training with my old club bit, that's the dramatic monologue. The grand finale of I will not play, that's the standing ovation from his new agent. Fans are clutching their pearls about loyalty, but let's not forget where Isak is trying to go. Liverpool. They're no strangers to this dance. They've sold more beloved players than a garage sale in Hollywood. Isak is simply playing by the rules of the jungle. He saw his opportunity to upgrade, and he went for it. The greedy bastard chants are just the background music to his career ascent. This isn't disloyalty, it's economic pragmatism. He looked at his career like a stock portfolio and decided it was time to sell. Newcastle fans are upset, and they have a right to be. But the real villain here isn't Isak. It's the entire system that incentivizes this behavior. It's like being mad at a shark for biting. That's what they do, and in modern football this is what elite players do. The only difference is the Sharks don't get a seven-figure salary for it. 2. The Hojlund humiliation, when the player is more loyal than the club. Now, let's pivot to the other side of the Scandinavian striker coin, Rasmus Hojlund. This guy is a true romantic. A man who loves his club, Manchester United, more than they love him back. He's the person who gets ghosted, but still sends a "you up" text at 2 a.m. For months, United have been trying to offload him. They've been listening to offers, despite his best efforts to pledge his undying devotion. Hojlund is out here saying, I want to stay, and United is whispering to agents, please, take him, we'll even throw in a free Jadon Sancho. But Hojlund, bless his naive heart, keeps fighting. He scores a goal on the preseason tour, gets praised by the manager, and publicly declares, I'm not going anywhere. It's like watching a puppy try to make friends with a cat that's clearly trying to ignore it. Hojlund is basically the footballing equivalent of a boyfriend who gets dumped but keeps showing up to his ex's house with flowers. He just doesn't get the hint. United's bomb squad, Hojlund, Sancho, Antony, Garnacho, Malacia, sounds less like a group of unwanted players and more like a boy band that went through a messy breakup. They've been almost entirely separated from the first team. That's less of a training regimen and more of an organized shunning. The club says these players asked to leave. Some of the players' camps disputed this. It's a classic, he said. She said. Except the she is a multi-billion-dollar football club with a team of lawyers. Imagine being so unwanted by your club that they'd rather just let you sit around and not play than try to sell you for a decent fee. It's a masterclass in asset depreciation. United's transfer record is so bad they can't even give away their unwanted players. Hojlund's resolve is now being tested. He wasn't even in the matchday squad for the first game. It's a power play so obvious it's almost poetic. United is basically saying, we will make your life so miserable, you will beg to leave. This is a cruel form of footballing psychological warfare. The club is holding all the cards. They can either reintegrate him in September or make him an expensive bench decoration. Either way, Hojlund loses. 3. The hypocrisy of club loyalty. A harsh lesson for Newcastle. So Isak is the greedy villain, right? But now let's talk about Newcastle. They're the victims here. They're the ones being wronged. A player forcing his way out. How dare he? But Newcastle also just spent a summer pursuing Yoni Wissa from Brentford, who also conveniently missed his first game due to uncertainties over his future. Funny how that works, isn't it? It's the law of the jungle, and Newcastle is realizing they're not the apex predator they thought they were. They might be rich, but they're not Real Madrid. The Isak saga is a harsh lesson in the food chain of football. They can tell Liverpool to pound sand, but they know that keeping an unhappy player whose value is about to plummet is a fool's errand. Every club has a hierarchy. At the top you have Florentino Perez, the godfather of football transfers, sitting in his office like a king. Beneath him you have the giants like Liverpool. Then you have the slightly less giant clubs like Newcastle. And so on, until you get to the pawns. Newcastle is learning that you can buy a club, but you can't buy respect from the footballing elite. They thought they could flex their muscles, but now they're finding out that bigger clubs don't play by the same rules. The Isak situation is a beautiful example of karma. Newcastle is outraged that a player is trying to force a move, while at the same time they're trying to bully Brentford into selling Wissa. It's a do as I say, not as I do scenario. They're acting like they're the victims, but they're just another player in a game where everyone is trying to screw over everyone else. Newcastle's position is like a guy who just got punched in the face for the first time, and he's yelling, "Hey, you can't do that, only I can do that." Part 4. The grand illusion of choice, the prisoner's dilemma. So what's the lesson here? We've got Isak, who wants out, and Hojlund, who wants in. The club doesn't want Hojlund, and the club doesn't want to let Isak go. It's a twisted transfer window soap opera where everyone is miserable. But when you look at it closely, there's not really a choice for anyone. Isak has to leave, or his value tanks, and he's stuck in a place where he's no longer happy. Newcastle has to sell him, or they're stuck with an unhappy player and a rapidly depreciating asset. Hojlund has to leave, or he'll spend the next 6 months on the bench, his career stalled, and his dreams of being a United legend a distant memory. United has to either reintegrate him or sell him, or they look even more incompetent than they already do. Everyone is a pawn in a game they can't win. They have to protect and maximize their own interests, because that's what the market demands. Loyalty, that's a sentiment for the fans. The clubs and the players, they're just looking out for number one. At this point, the transfer window is less about football and more about a cruel game of cat and mouse. The players are the mice, and the clubs are the cats. The cats get to play with the mice for a while and then they eat them. The phrase ruthless self-interest is the most accurate description of the transfer market. It's not about who's right or wrong, it's about who has the power. This is the ugly truth of modern football. It's a business, and everyone from the player to the club to the agent is trying to get their piece of the pie. And if someone gets hurt along the way, oh well, that's just collateral damage. We can yell about loyalty and principles, but that's just us projecting our own values onto a system that has none. The only principle here is profit. It's a zero-sum game. For Isak to win, Newcastle has to lose. For United to win, Hojlund has to lose. And so on, down the line. It's a beautiful, terrible ballet of greed and ambition. Closing thoughts. The transfer window's harsh reality. So, who's the greedy bastard? The player who wants to leave for a better opportunity, or the club that forces a loyal player out for their own financial gain? The answer is, they all are. They're just playing by the same rules. Isak and Hojlund are two sides of the same coin. They're both trying to survive in a jungle where the only law is self-interest. It's a cruel, unforgiving world, and the only thing we can do is sit back and watch the carnage. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think is the villain in this story? Smash that like button, and subscribe for more football banter. And remember, in the transfer window, everyone is a little bit of a greedy bastard. See you next time.